Hi, welcome to Riddle Me That.
A place where questions are answered and answers raise questions. I'm Gareth Casper.
And I'm Bernie Hernandez. And in today's segment, we'll talk about volume. How much space we really take up.
So as usual, here on Riddle Me That, we'll spend a short amount of time going over exactly what volume is, and then we'll hand it over to the audience at home, around the nation, with any questions they have regarding volume. So Bernie.
Yes, Garrett?
What exactly is volume?
Well, Garrett, volume is exactly the amount of space an object occupies.
Interesting. So to reiterate that to our studio audience, volume is the amount of space an object occupies. Good to know. So, going through our questions, our first question of the day comes from Martha from Florida. Dear Riddle Me That, I recently just purchased a new refrigerator and I plan on using the box as some storage space. But how would I go about finding out just how much stuff I can fit into that box? Well, Martha, that's a great question.
It really is a great question, Martha. And first off, we would like to congratulate you on the new refrigerator. And to answer your question, I'll pass it over to our senior correspondent, Sam Childers.
Thanks, Bernie. And thank you to you too, Martha, for your insightful question. But first, we have a problem that we need to come up with. Yeah, you have a refrigerator, and congratulations again on your purchase. That is a big ticket item. I hope you get a lot of use out of that. Now, we have to figure out what kind of shape your refrigerator is. Now I am a prism correspondent, so let's go through the different types of prisms and find out what you may have. Now what we have here, Martha, is a regular prism. What this means is that the bases, the top and the bottom, are going to be regular polygons. I'm not sure this is what you have. What we have here, Martha, is an irregular prism. Now in this particular prism, this is where the bases, in this case the top and bottom, are irregular polygons. And here, Martha, we have the oblique prism. Now what this means is that the lateral faces, in this case the top and bottom, are going to be rhomboids, and we all know what a rhomboid is, don't we, Martha? What we have here is a triangular prism. The top and the bottom, the lateral faces, are triangles. Now this is pretty close to what you have, but I think we can do better. Alright, Martha, what we have here is a quadrangular prism. And this may be exactly what it is we're trying to figure out. In fact, I've even made it look like your beautiful refrigerator. Isn't that nice? Now what we need to do in order to find out just how much food you can store, or whatever else your storage usages may be, for this particular model, we need to figure out some basic dimensions. Now what I need you to do, and this is for all quadrangulars, take the height of it, in this case your refrigerator, from the floor to the top. Take the depth of it from the face, the front of the door, to the back. And then I also need you to take another measurement from side to side. Now what you need to do, Martha, is you need to take all of these measurements and you need to multiply them together. So you're going to have the height of the refrigerator times the depth of the refrigerator, and then times the width of the refrigerator. Now when you do this, you're going to find the total cubic volume, if you will, of this particular quadrangular. And this is the total space that it is going to occupy. Of course you're going to have a little bit less space because of the thickness of the doors or any shelves that you have, but this is going to give you an incredibly good estimate that you can go from. And that's just about how you do it, Martha. Back to y'all.
Thank you very much, Sam, for that insightful explanation.
I hope that helped, Martha. And for our next question, this comes from John from Tennessee. His question says, I recently purchased a Lipton tea and was wondering how much volume the container has. It's a good question.
Well, John, to help you answer that question, here's Brian Knapp on the scene.
Thank you, Gareth. Well, John, we have our container of Lipton tea here. First, we'll need to measure the dimensions. So the diameter of this tea is 13 centimeters, and the height is 24 centimeters. Alright, well, to calculate a volume of a cylinder, we'll need to use this equation. Volume equals pi times the radius of the base squared times the height of the cylinder. We measured the diameter of our cylinder to be 13 centimeters, so the radius will be 6.5 centimeters. and we measured the height of our cylinder to be 24 centimeters. So, volume equals pi times 6.5 centimeters squared, 6.5 squared, times 24, which equals 3,185.6 cubic centimeters. Well, John, I hope this has been helpful in helping you calculate the volume of your Lipton tea. Now back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Brian. I hope you enjoy that tea.
And as for our next question, it comes from Penelope from Connecticut. Dear Riddle Me That, I remember hearing in school a story about a man who once calculated the volume of a crown. I, however, could not find the formula to calculate the volume of crown-shaped objects. Who was this man, and how did he go about calculating that volume?
That's a very good question, Penelope. And I'm not surprised that you weren't able to find the formula for crown-shaped objects. But I'm pretty sure the person you're talking about is Archimedes. He was able to find the volume of a crown using displacement. And that's the method we like to use here at Riddle Me That.
So with that, we're going to hand it over to our senior displacement analyst, Ryan Hookey.
Thanks, guys. The method of displacement is a very useful method. It involves subtracting the final height minus the original height, which will create a new cylinder, so you can determine what the volume of your irregular object is. So I will first mark the water line of where it currently stands, so right here. Now I'll place my irregular object into the cylinder and mark the new height. This gave me the new cylinder that I have to find the volume of this. Now, remembering what Brian taught us about finding the volume of the cylinder, I will now find the height, and that will be found by finding the distance between the two lines. And that is 4 centimeters, and I will now find the radius, which is 8 centimeters long. Now, applying that, I will use the formula for a volume of a cylinder, which is volume equals pi times the radius squared times the height. Knowing that the radius was 8 centimeters and the height was 4 centimeters, I will now plug that back into the formula for the volume of a cylinder, which gives you volume equals pi times 8 squared times 4. And that gives you a total volume of 804.25 centimeters cubed. And that's the method that Archimedes used to find the volume of the crown. Now back to you guys in the studio.
That was our senior displacement analyst, Ryan Hookey. Thank you very much, Ryan.
That's about all the time we have here today at Riddle Me That. Today we learned about calculating volume of various objects.
If you had any questions about how to calculate the volumes of anything we didn't cover, you can always look those up online. So from all of us here at Riddle Me That, have a mathematical day. Good job. Did you see the schedule for the rest of the week?